B-Bad and Brandon.
Look at that beautiful face.
What a setup.
Hey.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. This is the Pod Cave.
Yeah, looking good. That's great.
Formerly known as the Man Cave.
Been changed a little bit.
And then the Gym Cave in COVID times.
How's my sound for you? All good?
It's perfect, dude.
Looks, yeah,
Right.
sounds good. You're looking good. How's your Wednesday, bro?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, been pretty good. Just had some gym floor time and now up getting a bit of work done, which is good.
Yeah, sweet. Early start. You start early down there?
Yeah, we usually crack on. Let me just. Can you still hear me with just the one in?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, perfect. I might do that. Just otherwise, I keep hearing my fucking own voice in my head. Yeah, mate. No, we usually kick off our first sessions around 6:30. We've got sort of athletes coming in from about 6, so most of the time we'll get in nice and early.
Yes, sweet. That's a pretty good start.
What about you boys? What's been happening this morning?
I had a few clients myself, but
similar story, I think.
Yeah,
Except
pretty much.
Mine was a 5:15. What did you start?
I started at 7. I just don't like
Sleeping.
the same starts anymore.
Sleeping.
I did too many of them as a PT back in the day, and I'm lucky. I think the difference being that, I guess micro powerlifters, they really don't like training early morning. So
yeah, well, because their fucking sessions go for 4 hours, mate. So
exactly, they're like, oh, fuck, it didn't work.
Mate, we used to have some powerlifters in our old gym that used to come in at sort of midday, mate. They wouldn't leave till 5 p.m. It was ridiculous.
They only did 3 sets.
Yeah, 3 sets, four packets of lollies they'd go through, and 2 monsters.
Athletes, bro.
Real athletes. That's a real athlete.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Fucking hell,
mate. What we like to do, because we are very official in everything we do in systems and compliance with podcasting. We have one question for our whole podcast, and then we just see what happens.
Yeah,
mate. We'll kick it off. It's 21 sounds, so you can use words and sounds if you like, to describe who you are and what you do. He's going to keep it very official.
I will try and count.
Is that exactly 21 or under 21?
Yeah, you go over, you get a penalty.
Easy. Oh, well, I'll definitely be under, mate. But it's very simple what we do from my point of view. Athlete development, and that is it. Full stop. So it's something that I've done my whole career. It's something that my facility here does that I've got with Carl Goodman, who's my business partner. And it is literally that. We take athletes from where they are and take them to where they want to go. Did it in the professional side of things and now in the private side of things.
Yeah.
And everything that encompasses that, whether that's speed, agility, strength, power, rehab, everything in between, mate. That's what we do.
Mate, I just had a bit of a squiz on the gram and had a bit of a stalk, and your gym is fucking sick.
Yes, yeah, no, we've definitely leveled up a little bit over the past few weeks. We had a facility in Artarmon that was, don't get me wrong, was very nice, and we sort of evolved into it. We knew what we wanted to do, and we sort of adapted around the facility, and we ultimately outgrew it pretty quickly. So the facility we've now moved into, this is sort of our 5th week or 6th week in. We sort of found it around December of last year, and started working on it from then. And yeah, moved in about 6 weeks ago now, and we still need to finish a couple of things off. We still need to wait for some council ticks to put in our last little office setup, but the actual facility is almost said and done as far as the makeup of where the athletes train, from dry recovery, wet recovery to our physio room. So it's been fantastic, mate. Yeah, it's a great little home now.
Damn.
And where are you located in? Because you're obviously in New South Wales.
Yep, in Sydney, in Artarmon, which is the North Shore. So Crow's Nest, North Sydney area.
Yeah, nice.
Very nice. And you touch, I mean, the key word being athletes is who you'd like to, who you guys work with. Are we talking from varying levels, from that sort of, amateur, serious lit person who likes to take it to high level professional and everything in between across all sports? Or
yeah, look, we certainly have everything, and we are athlete only. I don't know if there's many facilities in Australia, let alone internationally, that can say that unless they're an institute, that they purely work with athletes. We have no general pop. It is simply if you are in an athletic population and your whole goal for training is to go to the next level, then we'll consider taking you on. And the obvious ones are, we get a lot of AFLW girls, W League players that get a taste of what professionalism is. So they might play for the Wanderers in the W League. They get their sort of 6-month, 7-month contract. Then they come and they say, well, season's end. I've got no one to really support me. I want to go for the Matildas, or I want to get another contract next year. And they've seen what professional is, but they don't get it 12 months of the year like a male rugby league player or AFL player. So to be honest, that's probably our biggest market of these professional and semi-professional female athletes that come to us and want the support in their off season, wants the support for their pre-season to get that next contract. But mate, we also have a lot of amateur AFL players through to track and field athletes. Track and field's a big one because they just don't get the support. Institutes, very rarely hand out their scholarships. They go off their podium models these days. So I think sailing's the number one at the moment, simply because they've got the most gold medals over the past 2 Olympics, which means they get all the money. But you look at the development side of it, they see an under 14 athlete that's running nice record times, but they just don't have the funding to support them for the future, because track and field hasn't done it in the past, which just seems moronic. So that's another area. We have junior track and field athletes that in 4 or 5 years' time could be genuine superstars, and they come to us, and we hopefully can assist them where we can. But to answer your question, you could be a 3rd grade rugby player that wants to get to 2nd grade. But if that is your whole mentality and that's what you want to do, then we're here to support you if you fit our culture. By the same token, you could be already a professional athlete that just wants to sustain it. Obviously, that'll also fit our culture. But we certainly don't have the everyday weekend warrior that wants to lose a few kilos. It is very specific in what someone's goals and outcomes are to come here.
Yep. Mate, I like the bit you keep touching on, saying, if you fit us. Like, it's still, even if you are an athlete, that's not just an automatic entry into your facility. You need to fit with what you guys are doing and what you want to do. And I imagine even fit with the people within it as well.
Yeah, definitely. Right? There's a number of avenues as well that an athlete has. It's not just obviously do they fit correctly, meaning their outcomes, their mentality fit properly. What's their dedication like? At the end of the day, we do 12-month contracts. Simple as that. Every other gym's trying to go the other direction and have you can exit whenever you want. We kind of have the opposite belief that if you don't value it and you don't commit to it, then you're not going to have the same outcomes, and you can't be an athlete overnight. So we have we have a very good cash flow from that side of thing, because we don't have people cancelling on us. But you lock into the 12-month contract, you commit, you make a value commitment. You obviously have your goals, you have your direction, but also your coaches on board. We deal with different coaches from if it's track and field, you've got your sprints coach, throws coach. You've got if you're a taekwondo athlete, you've got your 2 or 3 different skills coaches, especially our fighters. You've got MMA fighters got their boxing coach, their wrestling coach, everyone in between. So it's making sure that we're communicating with all the coaches as well and making sure they're on board, because there's nothing harder than having an athlete that comes to us that's on board across all of their areas that they want to do, but their coach, in particular their skills coach, doesn't value it, doesn't see the point of it, anything like that. So we often invite skills coaches in to have a look at the place, to chat with us, to make sure that everyone's on board, because it's a massive part of an athlete's direction and well-being that all their coaches are on the same wavelength.
Is it still a hard sort of, do you still find some barriers with some old school coaches, lack of a better word, that don't have a belief in sports and performance and what you guys can offer? And
100%.
You don't need that, just more skill, just be a better thrower and shooter, and that'll be enough.
Mate, there is plenty, even in the semi-professional to professional ranks, without naming names. There's a couple of clubs that obviously we train their athletes, and when it comes to training, their running loads were at a high in pre-season, so they said, we'll just not do weights. So they just stopped doing weights for 4 weeks. And so we had a lot of our athletes, or when I say a lot of our athletes, the athletes that were involved in those specific clubs contact us and come to us to train to make sure that they would get because they're starting to get sore. Like lo and behold, they've done these amazing off seasons and into a preseason, and they're doing really well. And then their own club that's meant to be there to support them is just like, yeah, no, we've got a lot of running guys. We just won't do weights for 4 weeks. It's just absolutely moronic. It's just ridiculous. So
why do you think that mentality's still there with these old coaches? Like what? Like I'm sitting here baffled by that, going, how can they not see the benefit?
I generally think a lot of the issues around that are based on the exceptions to the rule, not the rule. So you look at like again, I don't know him personally, so I don't know what he does, but like a Messi, if he doesn't do weights, then straight away everyone's like, oh, well, he doesn't do weights and he's the best, one of the best players out there. Wayne Gretzky's famous for saying when a dumbbell scores a goal, I'll lift a dumbbell. But it's also like, it's fucking Wayne Gretzky. Like, like I don't care what he does. Like, man, he could have KFC every evening and he's still going to be Wayne Gretzky. So, and to be honest, some kids can get in that mentality. You know, when I was in the AFL, we had a sort of rule. You know, you earn the right to depict your program. So we get someone that comes in that's a Brownlow medalist and says, "Oh, I don't want to do this. I prefer to do this." Oh, well, you know what? I'm happy to listen to you. Let's look at it. But if you're an 18-year-old that comes in and say, "Oh, I don't want to do this," you're like, mate, you've done nothing. You'll do this until you prove otherwise. So it is the old story: is you're a part of the rule until you prove that you're the exception. And there's without a doubt, there's always going to be unique individuals that can get away with things, that don't need to do certain things here and there, and simply get through on. You know, sometimes talent, sometimes specific attributes physically that they naturally have. I still firmly believe everyone benefits from a strength and conditioning program of some sorts, but some people certainly will maximize it more. Obviously, people that are less talented will actually lean on strength conditioning more because they need to have a unique string to their bow. And if the pure talent is not there, then obviously it needs to be something else. You look at pure sports, say sprinting, rowing, cycling, they can't hide from it because it is such a physiology and musculoskeletally demanding sport. The more people that are involved in a sport at once, e.g. team sports, the more skills that are involved where there's balls and stuff like that and rackets, suddenly the strength and conditioning side becomes less and less important to win. But I certainly believe it's as important to keep people out there. So, you know, your Roger Federers and stuff, it's really hard to know how much influence their strength and conditioning programs have on them to win. But I'd certainly say that if they didn't have, good strength conditioning programs, they probably wouldn't win as often because they're injured. And it's a big belief of mine with some people that, I'm not going to make you win something that you wouldn't have won anyway. But I certainly reckon I can give you the opportunity to win it a few more times if I do my job right.
I reckon there's something you don't hear enough of, like the importance that strength and conditioning plays in just keeping someone on the field. Like not actually maybe progressing them as a strength and getting stronger, or better at their sport. The fact that they just get to play more of that sport because they don't fucking break down. That's
correct.
really
and
important.
That's the biggest argument with track and field at the moment. And it's just ridiculous. People posting about, there's a lot of track and field coaches are currently out and about saying, at the end of the day, you've got to sprint to be fast. And you're like, well, of course you do. You're not going to get fast doing anything else but sprinting. But to get fast, you need to sprint, and sprinters arguably as often as you can. But those people that are strong and resilient can sprint more often, therefore have more chance of getting faster. So the whole premise of a strength and conditioning routine with, say, a 100-meter sprinter is when we're in the gym, to be honest, most of the stuff we're doing is not going to make them directly faster. It's just not going to. It doesn't replicate positions. It doesn't replicate the speed of movement that they have. There's no doubt about that. But a lot of the stuff we do, A, transfers force, but B, a lot of it is to make sure that they are resilient enough to be able to get on the track over and over and over and expose themselves to more and more speed to get faster. Because if they don't have the musculoskeletal system to be able to withstand that, and sometimes that comes with slow movements, it comes with non-specific positions, there's no point. So it's all well and good to say, oh, you've got to sprint to be faster, which I don't think anyone really disagrees with. But that doesn't mean that everything I do in the gym, I'm hoping they're going to magically get faster from it. I'm trying to give more hours back to the coaches to get their athletes faster.
That's another one? I was going to be an interesting battle of time between the coach wanting the athlete to do the sport, and then you thinking, hey, if you gave me another 30 minutes, imagine what we could do, like in the grander schemes. Is there like a negotiation that sort of goes on in that process?
Especially in a team environment, like a full-time team environment. There's so many pieces to the pie. Like, I mean, obviously my background is in team sport, AFL and NRL. And there is, like, you know, if you take AFL, there's obviously all the physical requirements from their running capacities, conditioning work, through to their strength and power and speed work. We then have the recovery side of it. So they're getting their massage work, they're getting ice bars, their own stretching, flexibility, Pilates, yoga. They then have the physio side of things, which is a little bit of rehab, prehab stuff. They then have the coaching work, which is both your head coach, your assistant coach, your line coach, development coach. So that's all the tactical side, but then you've got all the individual skills. You've got a hand pass, mark, kick, all these things that they're trying to train and try and develop all at the same time. It's impossible to focus, you know, all your efforts on one area. So from a team sport environment, I've always been a big believer that most of them are just, you know, they're intermediate lifters. You won't find an elite lifter in a team environment. And, you know, when you talk about elite lifter, you look at a full-time power lifter or Olympic lifter, you know, they're elite lifters. That's what they do. Any team sport athlete, they might be an elite sportsman or an elite athlete, but they're not an elite lifter. They're usually overly fatigued when they're trying to lift. They usually just run 10 Ks, or, you know, they've just come off a 2-hour meeting where they've been talking tactics, and yeah, it's very tough. And let's be honest, most of them get in and out of the gym within the hour, make sure that they're rotating through to their next position. So it is always a battle for a piece of the pie. And I think a good performance manager, but also a good head coach, knows how to split that pie up well. You know, if you get an 18-year-old that comes in, then the bigger part of their pie is going to be physical development, simply because they're not in the senior team most of the time. So tactical mistakes aren't going to affect the outcome of the senior team. They're playing in the reserve grade team, so tactical mistakes are okay. They can learn. So they're actually, although they've got to learn the tactics, from a physical standpoint, we need to get cracking on that. So a bigger piece of their pie is going to be aerobic training, strength and conditioning, this type of stuff that's going to get them into the senior team. But as they start to get older, they start to have that adaptation physically, then the tactical side becomes far more important, and making sure that they're understanding exactly where they're meant to be at the right time, where their kicks are meant to go, and everything like that becomes a bigger pie, a bigger piece of the pie, sorry.
Yeah, so I guess you're always developing that sort of program with that person, and I guess that'd be something you guys would be doing constantly with your athletes there. Is that something you sit down and formalize with you guys every year or every few months, or?
To be honest, it's something that our coaches kind of do every training block. So our training blocks are about 5 weeks, and each training block's slightly different. Some, you know, we sort of have a general rule that as far as our athletes are concerned, we need them in the gym for a minimum of twice a week. So most of our juniors will get in twice a week. If they're getting in once a week, it will happen time to time, whether it be around competition times, whether it be large training schedules, but also junior athletes with schooling and stuff like that. So we'll accept the one, but only for a couple of weeks. It is something that we sort of say we want a minimum of 2. Our ideal is 3 times a week here. We get some of our senior rugby players and stuff sometimes getting in for 4, and then in the pre-seasons and off seasons, they might do 4 to 5. But we also say, if you're in here 5 times a week, you're probably not that good at your sport, because realistically, you should be spending more time on the tactical, technical side with your sport. So we do have that sweet spot of around 3. But then obviously we have our whole rehab arm where it's very different. So if someone's in rehab, they're going to be in here a lot more. They're going to do a lot more field stuff. They're going to do a lot more speed and agility work. But it is certainly something that our coaches discuss with their other coaches to make sure that they're managing their times and managing their weekly loads, because if they're not, then it's going to become very hard for them to balance everything. And we need to not be unrealistic with it and say, you know, we're putting 17 different sessions across a week, because ultimately they're not going to be able to sustain it. So we'd prefer to undershoot a little bit with something that's sustainable than to overshoot and have them burn out in 2 to 3 weeks and then lose them for 2 weeks when they've got to catch up on other things and stuff like that. So it is a balancing act, and it can be quite hard. Yeah, absolutely, bro. Man, and
you touched a little bit on your background previous to having this. You've played with some team sports, and correct me if I'm wrong, GWS and the Eels.
Yes, yeah. So I was at GWS for 8 years as their strength and power coach. So the head of that program there, and then headed across to Parramatta Eels for 2 years there, where I was the head of performance. So I managed the whole performance department there before Athletes Authority. Well, Athletes Authority here, I partnered up with Carl 5 years ago now, actually. I think close to 5. And so I was obviously still in team sport while we were going through a lot of evolution. And my second year at Parramatta, we just sort of got to a stage where we just probably couldn't fathom continuing to grow without me jumping on. I think Carl would have killed me if he had to keep managing for another year. So.
Sweet. Is that something that was always a goal, to get into the private sector yourself and to be able to go out and do your own and start doing your own thing, or did you always think you were going to be staying in the team sports?
It's probably a bit opposite of what most people do. They probably start in the private and always have the goal to get to the pro. But I did start in the good old Fitness First as a PT.
You did.
Where every good coach starts. But yeah, so when I was in the pros, it was probably after about 3 years, I reckon, I'd already decided that I certainly don't want to be answering to a head coach my whole career. It's a volatile environment. I've got a newborn daughter now, and to be honest, I have admiration to everyone that does it with kids and stuff. But it'd be a tough. I suppose at the end of the day, you just get it done, don't you? But it's a tough ask doing pro sport and having not just one kid, but if you're having multiple kids, it's certainly a tough balancing act. So in the back of my head, I always had that. I wanted to make sure that I had an out or an exit, and it probably took 2 or 3 years to really gauge where I wanted to go and how I wanted to do it. And, in my head, I wanted to have a private athletic facility, but ultimately you can't step out of pro sport one day and open a facility the very next day and have all these athletes in there and thriving. So I did think the best way to do it was to have something external for a few years and try and evolve it so it was ready to take me on. And as fate had it, timing worked well. Carl moved a smaller facility he had around the corner from where I was living. And back then he named it Athletes Authority from the beginning. So the name always flowed quite nicely. But that was it worked with Gordon Rugby Club at the time and had the desire to have sort of more athletes. But it was probably more of a personal training orientated gym where most gyms are trying to balance your general pop with any athletes that you want to try and bring on. And ultimately the fit was great, and we partnered up, and over the years it evolved into what it is now. And it's been going from strength to strength, which has been great.
No, that's pretty cool.
And how long has Athletes Authority been? How long since you jumped across? Sorry, 3 years you said?
Yeah, so we've been together 5 years now. So it was 1 year at the Giants, and then the 2 years at Para, which is 3 I was external from it. And then I came on just before COVID. So it was a great time to come across.
Time,
well, to be honest, it was I jumped in on the November, December time. And then our 2 lead coaches, one moved to Canberra and one got poached for a bigger role at a high school, which is great. But I stepped in, had all these ideas, and then boom, we got 2 of our main coaches pulled away from us and then rolled into COVID. So it was a nice little slap across the face and welcome to private
business
sector.
ownership.
Mate, yeah. But to be honest, it was probably the best outcome that could have happened from COVID was going to happen no matter what. So I'm glad I wasn't in pro sport and having Athletes Authority. So being stuck in a bubble on reduced wage whilst trying to then balance doing JobKeeper payments to people that weren't the owners. At least with myself and Carl, we could strip back and make sure that we did most of the work and didn't have to pay people to do the work. But ultimately COVID was good. We as everyone says, pivoted well, and moved on, and ultimately came out the other end in a better place than we were, probably because it gave us a chance to actually put the pause button down and really sit down and go, well, what do we want out of the facility? And we got pretty ruthless with things. We cut down our schedule to make it more efficient for our coaches and made sure we took that as a priority. We were pretty ruthless around what athletes we wanted to keep and which ones we didn't. That was was the real turning point coming back, that we really had no general pops. That was very much just athletes. So, we'll probably look back in 10 years' time and still to this day say that was probably the biggest turning point for us to make sure we streamlined everything and made sure we were exactly where we wanted to be. And it was the right thing to do, because every day since has been stronger than the last, which has been fantastic.
Yeah, well, I think, Brando be the same and I'm the same, and all the people I know, pivot can be the key word for COVID that got through it. But it's just all the smart people just rolled up the sleeves and just reassessed what they're doing and thought, fuck, this is a great time to work out how to do it better, rather than just sit there
100%.
and being sharp.
Well, we couldn't do anything because we actually broke up our gym and gave it to our athletes. So we gave them all of our equipment. We just programmed for them at home. So we would literally come into the facility a couple of times a week, because we still had our physios. So our physios were still able to run.
Oh, no.
But yeah, we'd come in, literally sit on the floor of an empty gym, order burgers, and just talk about what we wanted to do. So there wasn't much more we could do.
How creative did you have to get with the programming in that time period where people
mate,
only had minimal or no gym access, no gym equipment?
There was more. Carl had to get more creative than I did. We split the guys up into the senior athletes kind of went with me, and the more junior athletes went with Carl. And just by nature, because obviously the more senior guys needed to lift more, they got a barbell and plates. So I actually probably had the easier job, whereas Carl's crew had 2.5 kettlebells, a bloody sandbag, one hurdle. So I reckon.
Probably not. Oh, no. Hello. Oh, no. He's paused. Is he still there? Are you there, bro? It's a fucking killer grin you got, though. I'll get a little photo of that. What happened, bro? He cut out.
Not
sure. Hello.
Sorry, mate. I got you back.
No, you're back, baby. There we go. I got a really cool photo of the face that you were pulling while it paused on our projector.
Oh, shocking.
No, it actually couldn't have timed it better, though.
Yeah, it was. We could use that for the, what do you call that thing? Thumbnail.
Yeah.
That'll be good. Ben, do you think
if
everything...
you want people to listen, probably don't.
Do you think all the stuff you learned in the team sport stuff prepared you for having your own business like this and how you're going to coach? Or once you had, freedom to be the guy who's run it, or you could unleash the shackles and do it your way? Yeah,
it's funny. For 50% of it, 100%. So 50% of it being the coaching, the athlete development side, which I think a lot of coaches think that's 100%. Unfortunately, it's fucking not even near. That is 50% of your business. What you're actually...
No. Fuck. No, 50% of your business. Remember that.
Gonna work out what?
It's not us, is it?
I don't think it is.
It's another great photo.
The coach.
Hello. Let me know if you're still there, bro. Oh no, you're coming in and out.
Hang on, my internet at the moment I think's giving me grief.
Damn internet. Yeah.
Let me.
Sweet as pie.
That's okay. You got me now?
Yeah, I think we got you. Slowly. Just need one of those sand in time things ticking over.
Let me see if I can connect my phone. I reckon it'd be a bit better for you.
That's all right, man. Dun, dun, dun. Zoom. Damn.
Lovely.
Yeah. Zoom now tells you when it's been recorded.
Easy.
Cool. Yeah, I think we'll just touching on your experiences crossing over from when you had a head coach to where you are today, bro. 50%.
Yeah, 100%. And we're saying that, basically, the coaches that do step out and look to run businesses, it's the same with personal trainers that ultimately step away from, say, a fitness first model to open their own gym. The underestimation of how much business and sales development that's required is massive. So for me, it's easy for me to step out of pro sport because so much of what I've learned and we've done in pro sport, I've been able to apply to our facility, because ultimately that's what we're trying to replicate. We're trying to bring that professional model to the amateur ranks. We have athletes walk in, they should feel like they're in a professional setting. They should feel like they have professional coaches, professional facilities. The expectations that they have on them are what we would have in a professional setting. But then I didn't need to go and learn the other 50% immediately because I had Carl. So, that's where, when it comes to sales, the business development side, that becomes something that, he was a coach himself, but he loves that business development side. So it gives him the freedom to step away from the coaching and start to work on that, and allows me to not have to stress about that. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot that I've learned, and I've definitely upskilled myself just from being around and seeing how we've done things and progressed and stuff like that. But it would not have been anywhere near the same if I had have just tried to step out and take what I knew in a professional setting, because that's great for the coaching, but does not help at all when it comes to actually running a facility or a business.
Yeah. That business bit, I always joke at the gym. I was like, "Fuck, they didn't teach me how to do this in PT school."
But they did. Exactly.
But they literally did it.
PT school, it could be freaking any type of undergraduate degree, anything like that. There's nothing there. And that's even at conferences. And it's finally we were talking about it for our ASCA conference that's at the end of this year, discussing the importance of trying to integrate some business development as well, because whether coaches like it or not, it's such a massive part of what we are now, especially with social media platforms that runs and are able to position yourself to actually go forward and run, whether it be just a gym or just a personal brand, is such a necessity these days.
Yeah. And I did have a note to ask you about your social media, because you do put some great stuff out there, and you've got a nice little following on there as well for yourself. Is that something you've always worked at, or something you're just putting some time into now?
No, to be honest, probably something I put more time into when I was at the Giants. So that sort of started. I'd like to say I was probably one of the earlier ones when it comes to the professional setting. There wasn't too many, if any, professional coaches putting stuff out publicly. So I was lucky enough to have a very kind department and kind head coach that was more than happy for me to put stuff out. But that was more from a standpoint of exactly what we talked about before, where I knew I wasn't going to be able to step straight into a facility the next day that I leave pro sport and have all these people in there. So my thought was, and this was before I came on board with Athletes Authority, was, well, at least I can maybe build a bit of a personal brand that I can take with me. And whether I leave a team, whether I leave pro sport, I've still got that personal brand. And the whole philosophy was, okay, well, if I was a young coach, what would I have wanted to see and know? And that was pretty much the only filter that I had for the social media side. If I put something up, I just simply asked, if I was a young coach, is this something that I would have gotten something out of? If so, I put it up. Hence why there's no photos of me with my shirt off doing handstands or anything like that, because I don't know if anyone's going to get much out of it. So yeah, there's definitely it's evolved over the time, and as with anything, mate, it's not my be all and end all. So I don't put a piece of content out every day. I try to make sure that I don't just put crap up just for the sake of putting it up. So if I've got nothing good to say, I usually won't post anything. And lo and behold, if I get busy, I don't post. So the past year, I've been pretty flat out with Athletes Authority, and my ideas have certainly been going into that, and hasn't really been something I've been posting a lot. But now that we've settled into our new facility, I've sort of gotten over a little bit of the hump of having a new child. I've definitely sort of started to put a bit more out there now that the brain's back into focus a bit.
Mate, I don't know if that. How old's your newborn?
13 weeks. So
I've got one coming in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was going to say, like you.
Oh, mate, the sleep. I'm living off coffee after coffee. We've just got a coffee machine actually installed the other week here, and it's I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but dear God, man, I've never hit so many shots of caffeine in my life.
It's a good thing in the interim. It's a good thing in the interim.
This is a short-term beneficial requirement.
Long-term, you'll probably get another 13 weeks. But fuck, why don't we install that?
Well, the only thing I could do, a good mate of mine Matty J, who's at he's at Tigers now. He's a coach. And the first time I went and had a breakfast with him, he ordered a double shot cappuccino, and then had a bit of a drink. I had a double shot with him, and we're about to go. And I go, I'll get one more coffee. He goes, oh yeah, just get me a quad shot, Cap, would you? I said, what do you mean a quad shot? He goes, yeah, like 4 shots. I'm like, you're kidding me? It's a quad shot. So 6 shots. He's had 6 shots in the space of about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I said, how many shots do you have a day? And he goes, oh, maybe about 16.
Holy fuck.
No way. So he has kids, so I don't know where he went from 16 shots to whatever. But I've never met a man who drinks more in his life than he does.
Holy shit. We could potentially plot a graph between newborn and coffee intake. And put some sort of chart together.
Correlation and causation, I reckon. Yeah.
Like I was pretty busy with work recently, and I started having 4 shots in the morning. But 16. I'm stuck on that. That's
good.
Yeah.
Be a real coffee connoisseur at the end of that one.
Or it just becomes caffeine only. You don't even taste it after a while.
And what about for yourself, bro? Did you play a sport back in the day, mate, or what do you do for yourself for training wise? Like what keeps you?
Yeah. Born and bred AFL. I got brought up playing AFL. I love footy. I played that through high school, and then basically 2 years out of high school, and then being a personal trainer, as you know, you sort of start to work evenings, and I was working Saturdays as well. So I kept missing training, missing games. So ultimately had to give that up for the love of coaching. Yep. But I did actually make a bit of a stint this season to make a comeback. I always said once I left pro sport, I wanted to try and make a comeback. So I did do sort of a half pre-season, came back for about 3 or 4 games, and then obviously the newborn just took the better of me. I work at nights here, and then I'm training, not getting home from training till 10 o'clock. So the missus didn't say I can't do it, but we all know how to read our wives. So,
smart man does.
Yeah, exactly. So before she had to say anything, I certainly made the decision. It's probably a bit unfair on her, giving a bit too much pressure. So I've given it up for now. I don't know if I can handle a comeback. The body was starting to hurt a bit. I've definitely come to the conclusion that at any age you can play sport. I don't care. Like, I think everyone can do it. I'm 34. There's no reason why I can't play footy, but the time off is what gets you. The fact that I haven't played the whole time, if I had been playing every year up until 34, I reckon I'd be flying. But the fact that I stopped at 20 and I took 14 years off, the body has certainly forgotten how to run around and pull up from games.
I actually just, funnily enough, I've just inquired about going back to playing rugby league this season.
Yes.
And literally, I was telling some of my mates, and they're looking at me like, "When's the last time you played?" I was like, oh, fuck, I haven't played in 11 years.
Yeah. When you do the math, it hurts.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck, this is going to be brutal.
Yeah. Well, mate, I never feel that I'm old. I don't think I'm that old. But
you don't look that old.
Well, thank you. No, it's good moisturizer. When I got out the front, and the boy, like, introduce yourself first night at training and stuff. And they're like, oh, when was the last time you played? I'm okay. I did the math. I'm like, that was actually 13 and a half, actually 14 years ago. And I just sat there and went, 14 years ago. I'm like, fucking hell, that made me feel old. That was certainly made me feel old. So, but we're all good.
Hopefully.
That's unreal. Mate, where do you see the vision for Athlete Authority? Like, where's the pathway, 4 or 5 years from now? What do you guys want?
Mate, look, I think we were having this discussion actually the other day, because we've just released what we term a coach immersion program. So it's a 3-day coach experience where coaches come in all day, every day with us. They watch how we coach. They learn our systems. They watch our athletes. They get upskilled across everything we do, from business development through to all of our coaching structures and rehab. So that was something that we had earmarked to do, and we managed to get it set up and put it out. We opened up to 12 people, and we sold it out within 24 hours. We thought, Jesus, there's a bit of attention here, so maybe we'll open a second one to make sure we give the opportunity. And we sold that out the next 24 hours. So we'd sold 2 out in 48 hours. And then we said, okay, well, geez, we'll give a couple of week break, because Carl, my business partner, is due to have his second kid. So we're like, we don't want to load it up too much. So we gave it about a sort of a 4-week gap from the second one, and said we'll open up a third one. And we sold that out yesterday. So we've now sold out 3 of these things off one post. Not really thinking where we get it. No, we thought it was going to be popular. I probably shouldn't say that. We definitely thought it was going to be popular, but not to the extent that it has been. So we've actually just decided on opening a fourth one up in September. But we still have a list of 20 people that have still put their names down. So the reason I say that is that that's sort of the direction we're always wanting to head, was to really nail everything we do inside the four walls. And I think we've taken our time doing that, made sure we've really ironed out the systems, make sure everything we do is effective and scalable, and it certainly has been. So now our next stage was, let's do the external side of things, so the education and the upskilling, and being a bit of a hub for coaches to come and learn. And with our first release, we've absolutely blown our expectations out of the water. So that's certainly our next sort of 2 years, without a doubt. You talk sort of go 3 to 5. There's certainly that option of trying to open a couple more facilities around the country and scale what we currently do, and obviously just have, to be honest, more hubs that coaches can come and do face-to-face things, because we always have been, and I don't care what happens, we always will be a face-to-face education company. We will ultimately put what we can online, and there's always going to be opportunities there. But we're freaking coaches at the end of the day. Like you just, if you're not learning face-to-face, physically doing things, going through things, seeing them in person, I just don't think you can ever effectively coach an athlete if you can't physically get in front of people. And I think it's the cop out these days to do a lot of online stuff, which, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good stuff out there and people get a lot out of it. But if I told you I've got 8 hours of videos for you to watch, most people are going to be, fucking hell, man, like, that'll take me a week. Like, where do I find the time to do that? But if I tell you we've got an 8-hour seminar, which just a Sunday, people move stuff and they get there, they turn up, and guess what? There's 8 hours of content there that they get straight away. So I think the barrier to information absorption is far less with face-to-face, because ultimately people just find the time to get a date to go there. But when it's left to them, as I said, 8 hours of videos, everyone's busy. Everyone's got things on, and everyone's got 1,000 different things to take care of. But it's always so hard to do it off your own bat. And don't get me wrong, some people are good at it. I'm sure there's people out there that are going, "Oh, I'd do 8 hours of videos in 6 hours. I'm that good." But for me, I'm a bit the same, and I know a lot of people are. It's just, there's always something that comes up.
And I think I know from the way I learn, I just learn better if someone's in front of me, teaching me, showing me, and I get to feel it, touch it, and see it and do it. And watching a video and then trying to get my head around, and the opportunity, if you're there live and you got the question time, you want to ask, hey, actually, I don't quite get that. Like, it's just a better way to learn, I think.
100%. And to be honest, the thing I love about it as well is there's the questions from other people that I didn't think I needed to know. And often that's the thing where you watch something, and then you go and apply it, and you're like, oh crap, I didn't think of how I'd do it in this scenario with this equipment. Fuck, I wish I could ask that. But then you're at a seminar and someone says, look, I'm actually in a very small facility. I've only got this thing. How would you modify it? And then I go, oh crap, I didn't even think of that. That's a great option. And then ultimately you find yourself, as Murphy's Law, man, you find yourself in that scenario within the next week. And you're like, oh, thank God that person asked that question. So there's a lot to it, I think. And as I said, although there's always going to be online components, because ultimately we want to try and reach as many people, but that face-to-face will always be our go-to.
Yeah, 100%. And something I think, just from a business perspective, as more people drift to the online space to grow their business or educate or coach, I think there's huge opportunity for those to do the exact opposite and do what you're doing.
100%.
Yeah. No,
if everyone's going left, maybe go right.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I think that's why, to be honest, it's probably a mixture of the fact we're just coming out of, in Sydney, we're coming out of a lot of COVID restrictions that people see something face to face and they're just like, thank Christ, I'm on it.
I actually get to see a person now. I get to touch them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
100%. It's like, we're very lucky up here in Queensland to not go to many lockdowns as, down south. But even coming out of that big lockdown, like the amount of people that left the commercial gym setting to be a part of a culture, to be a part of a community, but then also who left online space to join something face-to-face just because they, obviously had that taken away from them. They saw the benefit, they saw the value in that.
Yep. And you see it like our athletes are the perfect example of it. You know, we broke up our gym. They did a home gym setup. First 2 weeks, they were like, how good's a home gym setup? Like, you know, just so good. Just walk out, do it. You know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, dear God, they're like, I just need to see another person. Like, I just need to lift with someone else. And by the time COVID was over, they could not wait to get back. And the energy of the first week was through the roof. And that's just, if anything, it just proves to us and them that you can't replace culture. Like, and it's culture trumps convenience every day of the week. We have people that drive an hour to come to us. Hell, it would be far more convenient to go to 37 other gyms or do a home gym. But the culture, and obviously we like to think the product that we give as well. But ultimately, most of that product is the culture, the feel, the energy, everything you get. It trumps convenience every day of the week.
100%, man.
I like that, bro. Man, something I'm curious for you, man. Like, obviously, you're always staying up to date with what's going on in the world of, you know, strength and performance, man. What's your go-to for you? Like,
upskilling wise?
Yeah, for upskilling wise.
Yeah, I've got probably a couple of avenues. One, I used to be very big in podcast and just audio books because I used to have a bit of a drive to work. Now, when we talk about convenience, obviously with the shift, I now jump on a little electric skateboard for 4 minutes and I'm at work. So I have a very, very easy commute. So which is great. But then the other side is I actually don't have that downtime where I can listen to that much. So to be honest, most of my stuff is through my own staff. We do PD stuff around here. For example, today at 2 o'clock, we've got PD with our physio group. So I take them through things from a coaching standpoint. But today is a physio one. So I'll still sit on it and listen to stuff that they talk about, things that they've read about and updates. So that's one area that I look at. The other part is a lot of our research reviews. So Physio Network, Science for Sport and stuff do a number of research reviews. And I find myself probably that's my number one, going where there might be 20 new research papers out and they obviously summarize them. Every now and then I'll delve into ones that are a little bit more specific to my area that I want to see exactly what the subject pool was like and what they physically did with the X's and O's of it. But most of the time it'll be reviews there. But I also am I still love books. Books are my number one, to be honest. Admittedly, with a 13-week-old, it's been a little bit less of late, but it is definitely still the half hour before bed reading through. I do a mixture of both books around our industry work, and then a lot of I'm a big fan of sort of your self development and also financial investment and stuff like that. So most of the stuff I read is usually that hour or 30 minutes before bed, and that's probably my biggest area of development.
Yes.
And you know what, face-to-face seminars, I love them. You know, I mean, that was my biggest excitement coming out of pro sport, that I had such a control over my calendar. I reckon I booked in for six courses straight off the bat that I went to. And it was unreal. I was loving it. And then boom, COVID hit, and now there's obviously been absolutely nothing. So I'd probably say, on top of the reading would be that I do hunt for as many courses I can go to. And I love them, from your humble PT side of things, where it's just pure X's and O's of lifting. I still love that, all the way through to your more, clinical rehab, that type of stuff. So I definitely find myself in a number of them.
Yes, sweet. Now, sir, I have for you 10 questions with a bonus 11th question at the end.
Yep.
So technically 11 questions. I wrote an extra one down.
Oh,
I came up with an extra one just for you, bro.
Yes.
Are you ready for these 10 questions plus one question? They are rapid fire, and you have to give us the first thing that pops in your brain.
Okay, hit me. Go for it.
What word comes next? Apple, banana, house, ape.
Dog. I don't know where that came from.
What motivates you to work hard?
Honestly, just I hate not knowing things.
I love that.
I like that. Who was your hero?
Would have to be good old Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, yes.
He was back in the day one of my number ones. I've always loved him. But if I had a more motivational hero rather than an action-packed hero, I don't know, to be honest. I do like I really am a big fan of people like Elon Musk and stuff that are just sort of just, fuck it, I'll do what I want to do, and ultimately come out the other side, because there's also a lot of people that say that and don't come out the other side. But yeah.
I like it, bro. Now it's party night. You've just gone back into AFL. You've won the grand final. You guys are celebrating with a karaoke night. What is your song to celebrate that night?
King of Wishful Thinking.
Ooh, I don't know that one.
If you watch, it's a cracker. It is an absolute cracker.
Your nickname is a Junior Burger, aka Kid.
Yeah, it wasn't too exciting. It was Lockie or Wilmot being my last name. I didn't really have a nickname. Very boring. Yeah.
Now, this is, we're always curious on this. How many pillows do you sleep with of an evening?
One. No, I hate pillows. Can't stand. A single pillow, perfect. A busy bed's not for me. I'd kick my wife out of it as well if I had a chance, I reckon.
Less is more in the bed.
Yeah, I like space. I like to relax. I don't like people or things on me. Yeah.
How long does it take to get yourself ready in the morning?
I'm pretty quick. I reckon I'm up at 5, out the door probably by about 5:30, and that's sort of everything inclusive. Yeah,
that's fast. I like it. Who was your first crush?
First crush. Oof. That's a tough one. I definitely had one beforehand. There's no doubt about it. But probably the biggest would have been Jennifer Aniston as Rachel in Friends. That would probably be my big, But I definitely had one before that, I reckon. But yeah, that's the first one that comes to mind. One of my coaches is here laughing at me.
I reckon you can still crush on her now.
She has an age.
Yes. No,
I'm still, nothing's changed. Yeah,
Rachel
100%.
never ages.
No.
Who knows you the best?
Oh, my wife. Yeah, my wife would know me the best by far.
Lovely. Now, you've found the genie. He's popped out of the bottle. You get 3 wishes. What are you wishing for?
Oof. To sound a bit ridiculous, like I'm a diabetic, so I'd probably wish to not have that. That would be my number one. Just perfect health. If you could try and customize, perfect health would be unreal. I would then probably wish to have eternal results, no matter what I did. So, I just, someone's not quite powerful enough. So I'm like, we'll do a single pistol squat. I guarantee it'll make you more powerful. And then they do it, and suddenly it goes up. I think that would be fantastic.
Fucking great wish.
And I don't know, the third one, I don't know. That's a great one. It would probably be a financial side of things, I reckon, just to secure. So maybe to never lose on an investment. I think never-ending money is a bit ridiculous. I don't know how, but I think to always win on investments means you're probably always going to come out on top. It's probably a good one.
I like that. Now something, man. You've been around the sporting game in a coaching, background for quite a while. What would be an advice you'd give to a young athlete coming up?
A young athlete. I reckon I don't know if it's advice, but it's probably more of a mindset / mentality. I often see 2 types of people when it comes to pro athletes, and you get the ones that are arrogant and confident in the fact that they will win.
Yep.
And then you have the people that are arrogant and confident in the fact that their hard work will make them win. And there's a very big difference. And the ones that are confident and arrogant that them putting in the work will get success are the ones that are successful. And the ones that copy that, they copy their energy without copying their hard work. And there's this arrogance and energy around, it will just happen, I'll just win, rather than my best will beat anyone. And I think the best athletes in the world are those ones that they're arrogant, they're confident, they have to be, because they believe the work they put in makes them the best. They don't believe they're the best. They believe that what they do makes them the best.
Yeah.
And I've worked with teams at different stages in their evolution. And I've worked with, I was with Parramatta when we took the wooden spoon in my first year there, and they'd come off a really good year the year before. But it was almost a falsified result, and their energy and arrogance was around they would win rather than their best would win. And we transitioned that pretty quickly for the following year, and their sense of, well, actually, in the work and what we do will make us the best. It was a completely different mind shift, even though externally, if you're around it might feel like the same energy, but they're actually quite different energies.
100%. Damn, that's
hopefully if that makes sense. So my advice to a young athlete would be back your hard work and believe it'll make you the best. Don't worry about being arrogant and confident, because you've got to be. But don't just think it's going to happen. Just believe what you do will make it happen.
Yep.
Fucking nice. I love that.
And come see your gym, of course.
Well, of course, yeah. Well, that would be the first one. Yeah. That might be the wish. Every athlete comes to my gym. That's the genie number 3.
Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll do the standard social media thing. Where can people find you? How can they get in touch?
Yeah, well, easiest is probably Instagram. Performance coach _Wilmot is what I am on Instagram. I do have Twitter, just Lachlan Wilmot. But realistically, I tend to get caught up on just one thing. There's too many things at the moment. There's too many avenues to be connected, so I try and keep just the single avenue. So Instagram will be the number 1.
Easy done, man. We'll put it all up in the show notes for you, man. And we can't thank you enough for giving up your time this morning.
Been a great Wednesday.
Right, no, apologies for the Wi-Fi dropout, but it's been great to chat, guys.
All good,
no
bro.
worries, brother. We'll definitely chat soon, and hopefully we can make it down there and check out the gym.
Come train sometime.
Welcome anytime. Get yourself out of the Queensland bubble there, you guys on your pedestals, eh?
Sweet.
Easy, mate. You have a great day. We'll chat soon.
Legend. Thanks, brother.
boys.
See you, man.
Catch you later. See ya.